moderating this session for the next 20 minutes. A quick introduction about myself before we get started. I lead the customer experience function for CM in India, and for those of you who may be unfamiliar, CM is a global leader in cloud software for conversational commerce. We build products and support channels that can help businesses deliver great experiences for their customers. With me today, I have Padmini Janaki, co-founder and CEO of Mind and Mom. So Mind and Mom is a deep tech company that focuses on incorporating AI technology that can help transform health experiences for women. Patni, I know quite a lot about you, but I'd like to pass it on to you to maybe briefly introduce yourself, speak about Mind and Mom, what you do there, and what actually drove you into the femtech space.
Sure. I think we have the unenviable job of keeping people away from lunch. So we will try to keep it as interesting as possible. So I'm Padmini Janaki. I finished my studies in communication and then started my career as a user experience designer at PayPal, and then moved into product management and then become a healthcare product manager as well. I think Mr. Pradeep was also saying, right, standing on a customer's shoe. That's what I've been doing for 10 years. And one incident that made me rethink women health. This was in St. Louis, very interior part of the US, where I was doing a user research about teen pregnancy, and I met a girl who's like 14 years old who's talking about a 1-year kid that she has. Like, I can never stand on the customer shoes there. When I was 14, I was probably looking for a much cheaper physics tuition, but this was completely a different culture and domain and altogether. Then I realized I think women health has been underserved globally, even in developed countries like US. So that made me rethink Mind and Mom and women health altogether. So Mind and Mom deals with fertility and high-risk pregnancy, focusing on both the B2C and B2B for corporates as well. So that's what we've been doing. We started like a year back, and now we have 1,70,000 women who successfully delivered their babies, their high-risk pregnancy babies, and being happy. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you, 𝗬𝗷.com, and thank you all of you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Padmini. Thank you for starting a venture like Mind and Mom, right? It's not usually a space that most people get into. And like you rightly said, it's an unserved market. It's great that you've broken into that space as well. So we'll get started with the conversation. I'd like to focus first on CX itself, right? We've spoken extensively about CX. We all know what CX means, but just to reiterate in a nutshell, we all know CX is basically the perception, right, that customers have of your brand depending on all the interactions that they've had with your brand throughout their life cycle, right? So it could be as simple as the tone of your website, the quality of transactions, and even the conversations that they have with your brand, with your sales, your support and service folks. Why is this perception important, you ask? We are currently at a day and age where CX is the only competitive advantage for most brands, right? There are studies by Forbes which also states that customers no longer base their loyalty to a brand based on the price or product. It's mostly dependent on how well the customers are made to feel by the brand itself. So when CX is the competitive advantage, it's definitely important for brands to focus on delivering great experiences to their consumers. And only if the experience is great, customers are going to come back to you. It also determines how long they're retained with you, right? The customer lifetime value, and also word of mouth marketing is very important in this day and age. So while all of this is understood, Patni, I'd like to understand your views on the significance of CX in the healthcare space. So do you think CX is an important parameter in healthcare too, or this is something that's mostly considered important in just, let's say, verticals like e-commerce, hospitality, and so on?
So I think, Deepika, beautiful question. Irrespective of industry, right? End of the day, B2B or B2C or healthcare, anything for that matter, end of the day, the customer or a user or human is going to see it. So I think every industry really requires or deserves that good customer experience. I think gone are the days where healthcare and very governmental things had very boring UI, UX, and customer experience altogether, right? Now everyone wants that perfect experience. They need to know why they are there and the jobs to be done perfectly on the top screen. They don't want to be spending time, wasting their time, figuring out where is this action item, call to action, whatever it is, right? So people understand experience now. People understand they deserve a better experience now. So I think healthcare is also evolving. I wouldn't say that as grown or evolved as much as e-commerce or marketplace or a fashion industry, I would say, but definitely evolving, definitely improving. and people are having experts on CX, UX, and all sort of even UI aesthetics, all of it together. UX writers have come, very new experts dealing very different, very nuances of it are dealt. So I think it is evolving beautifully well, and it is going in the right path, is what I think.
I agree to on your views, and much of this is possible only with data, right? For you to personalize your experience to customers, you need the right set of data with you. And healthcare being one of those sectors where humongous amount of data is collected. Um, and surprisingly, about 30% of the overall data volume globally is collected by the healthcare space, right? What seems to me as a gap is how well this data is interconnected, or does it still do we still exist in a world where this data still resides in silos or in fragments that it doesn't speak to each other, doesn't help in building that unified view of a customer? Because much of this, I feel, would not be the case if the right technology is implemented in all of these sectors. So I'd like to understand your views, Padmini, on are there any challenges when it comes to technology adoption in healthcare? If there are, what do you think, or how do you think the healthcare brands can overcome these challenges to cater to the best experiences for their consumers?
I think, Deepika, when it comes to data and healthcare, like you said, healthcare definitely collects a lot of data. Not that we do not have enough AI people or we do not have experts to really make the data talk to each other. That's not true. But then this is also a very sensitive space, right? With Mind and Mom, when it comes to fertility and pregnancy, we do collect a lot of data. It's not that just because I collect a lot of data, when somebody's coming and telling me that, hey, I'm 38 years old and I'm pregnant and I'm obese, I know this person is going to have a difficult pregnancy. I know this person is going to have an high risk pregnancy. With data, I can tell you, but still, I have to involve a lot of empathy, a lot of emotional intelligence before building something like that.
First.
And it is also not person based data that is okay. Like in India, when it comes to data, it's not very strict as compared to other countries on how someone needs to do the healthcare data. But it doesn't mean just because somebody is not looking at you, you can do whatever you want. I think a lot of ethics is required. India will also get there where the data is treated right with the all legal penalties, right? So it is not easy because it's very sensitive. We have to be very careful on how we are treating the data. How are you using that data? It needs to be a persona based data, not a person based data. Because people trust and then come here and give the data. I can't be like going ahead and then selling that data to some kurta company and a menstrual wear company or a maternity company, right? I have to be very sensitive about that. So when it comes to data, it is carefully dealt. I wouldn't say it is not used or it is not taken into action at all, but then it is a little careful, not just in India, globally. It is dealt with extra care, is what I would say.
For sure. And with this data coming in handy, and like you rightly mentioned, the healthcare brands have taken a lot of caution to use this data rightly in the right time and at the right places as well. So I'd like to shift gears a little bit, Padmini, and speak about the impact the pandemic has had on all the sectors. Healthcare being one of the most, one of the most impacted sectors, I would say. You had to rise up to the occasion, and you also had increasing demands from the general public as well as the customers. I should definitely laud the sector for showing unparalleled resilience and the way in which they could quickly innovate and cater to the needs of the customers. While this happened, right, the healthcare companies were evolving, the customer expectations also started increasing, right? The pandemic had resulted in people wanting more, let's say, personalized, proactive, predictive, real-time, round-the-clock assistance from the healthcare brands. Have you noticed any significant changes in the consumer behavior post the pandemic, and any such expectations that they have towards the healthcare sector itself?
I think before this pandemic, let me take the pregnancy again, because that's where I've seen so much changes here. Pregnancy, for that matter, before pandemic, every gynecologist, every doctor was like, you have to come do this test every month. All the 9 months, you have to come and do it. But all of a sudden, during pandemic, when the beds are taken, doctors are like, you don't have to come. You can directly come for delivery. Now, which one is true? Um, are they supposed to be coming, or is that not required? Now there's quite a lot of confusion, right? I think the way we looked at healthcare itself sort of changed during pandemic. A lot of telehealth was okay. Lot of people didn't know what is a PCR test. Now everyone knows what is a rapid PCR, what is a PCR, how is that done, what percentage of oxygen is right. Everybody has become a pseudo doctor in a way, right? I think the knowledge that we have got during pandemic is amazing. It has got its own pros and cons, but in a way it is good that we are aware about our body and aware about what we have done all through this, and what is good for us, which one is allergic, what is a why you need an oxygen, extra oxygen, so many basic information that we were supposed to be knowing, but pandemic had taught us in a hard way that many of us are knowing. Even before this, people used to Google and then go annoy the doctor saying, doctor, can I take this vitamin, can I take this medicine? But now it is much more self-aware that people are at least knowing how to Google about a particular information with much more data into it. So which is a very good change, and a lot of companies are also in that space when it comes to surgery tech, when it comes to telehealth, and so many new startups have come. Mind and Mom came during pandemic. So I think it's pretty good. It is coming up really well, and technology and understanding of people and the connection. There was always that one thing in between that. I think that gap is sort of getting filled, and both of us are like coming together, and together we are fighting against what is against our body and health.
Yeah, that's right. And this gap that you spoke about, that's also getting bridged because the caregivers or the doctors on the other side are also encouraging for this kind of shift, right? You mentioned telemedicine. We're also seeing consumers wanting to interact with healthcare brands on conversational channels, right? Not just on video or live chat, but they want to make an appointment for a video consultation on channels such as WhatsApp, right? Because consumers very well want to communicate with all the brands that they speak with on the same channels that they interact with their friends and family. WhatsApp being one of those, like we spoke about, and WhatsApp is also gaining significant momentum across all types of industries. I'd like to get your views on some good solutions that you think WhatsApp can provide specifically for the healthcare brand, and maybe if you could just speak about the WhatsApp solution that you've deployed for Mind and Mom itself, if you could highlight that, I'm sure it'll be very helpful.
Sure. So I think I always think WhatsApp is like sort of underrated when you compare to the other internet space. Of course, it is always seen as a chat that you do with your friends and family groups and sending good mornings. But I think we can do quite a lot considering the kind of volume of people who are there, who are actively there. I think after we
India being one of the largest countries in the world
exactly.
globally using WhatsApp. Yeah.
Exactly. Nerial says within 15 minutes of you waking up, you actually check WhatsApp. So, I think it's a brilliant space. And when it came to Mind and Mom, when we wanted to launch our fertility coach, like we didn't want everyone to get into IVF and very, difficult clinical trials. Before that, we wanted to help them genuinely on WhatsApp saying, hey, you can track your fertility journey just by tracking your periods and tracking your overall ovulation, and then take it in a very healthy lifestyle manner. So initially we thought, okay, let's go with an app, but we need to be a little more closer and then give that friend kind of an approach. When it comes to app, how many of us go access apps like this on an everyday basis? So we wanted to give that space where you can just ask the questions about your fertility journey or about your health concerns to them in your vernacular languages, like even people who do understand English, who studied English, they're even more comfortable with their own regional languages, right? So we launched both in English and Tamil, and we got a very good traction. We even launched it. We had our demo in the World Economic Forum, and we received a very good traction. And we are now launching it with Andhra Pradesh government, doing it in Telugu on
That's
19th.
amazing.
Yes, on 19th of September, because it's government. It is touching rural women. That's what I'm more happy about. So far, we've been doing it with women in the cities. Now it is touching the lives of women in villages and people who can only understand Telugu and Tamil. So that's being amazing, and thanks to CM.com also for us to do that in vernacular languages and any features that we post. Thank you to you guys as well.
No, it's our pleasure to actually partner with you for such a noble cause, I would say. And I'm sure as the chatbot increases its presence, we're definitely going to be there to support you. But Padmini, I think we're running short of time. I'd just like to wrap up with one last question, right? We've spoken so much about technology that it looks like technology is the magic cure for all the problems that exist in the world. But I, for one, believe that it's not the case, right? There needs to be a fine balance between human and technology, specifically in a field like healthcare, which is very sensitive and human-driven, right? Both human and tech should complement each other. There are certain things that one cannot do that the other should fulfill, right? And there are certain things that definitely need a human touch. So would like your finishing thoughts on the human tech approach that most healthcare companies must look into that they don't seem to be doing right now.
I think that human touch, irrespective of how much we're going to grow and then bring in robots to do surgery as well, I think that human touch is going to be always there. That the doctor is saying, you'll be fine, Deepika, don't worry. I think that will be there and that needs to be there all the time. Even with our chatbot, even when people try to quit and then end their services, we tell them, hey, I think it's fine, you're going. Would you like to delete your data and come back whenever you're ready? Because those presents and that smileys with hearts and that gives that human emotion as much as we can. Of course, for 1 lakh users, you can't have 1 lakh customer service agents or 50,000 customer service agents talking to them all the time. But then still, as much as you can, if you can bring that human emotion, people are going to be very, very happy and then connect with your brand in a much more stronger ratio. So that is definitely happening with us. We keep getting pictures of the newborn babies to our bots, saying, hey, today I've delivered a baby. That's so beautiful. Though it's a profit making company, though you make money out of it, these are very, very beautiful things that we feel so fulfilling end of the day. And they feel so connected that they send those pictures, send those happy moments of how that has been good for them. So I think that is going to be there, and that should be there, that human emotional quotient of any business, especially in healthcare.
For sure. A little bit of empathy never really hurts, right? And it always only adds to the business, I feel. And thanks, Padmini, for sharing all your thoughts. I'd like to quickly wrap up by saying, based on the pointers that we just discussed and also by looking at how the industry itself is progressing, I'm quite positive that healthcare is moving towards more of a consumer-driven approach where patients are given more control of what kind of data they can share, how the data is controlled, the medical care services that they can get, and also the kind of experiences and services that they deserve from the brands itself. Much of this is definitely powered by technology, but healthcare brands that harness the right technology with a strong focus on CX, I'm sure are the ones that are going to succeed in the long run as well. Thanks again, Padmini, for all your pointers. Very valuable and insightful. Audience, if there are any questions for either of us, please feel free to shoot, or you can meet us at our booth there, the CM stall there, and ask your questions as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so